Hey everybody, this is Matt Minich from Cincy Jungle here, going live, watching a little film, and brought in a special guest from Locked On Bengals, Jake Liscow. Jake, how you doing?
I'm well. I'm well. It's been a long time since I got to watch tape with somebody. My former tape watching pal has retired from the scene. He will go unmentioned. So I'm very excited to do this with you, Matt. Let's look at some passing offense.
Allegedly retired. I mean, for somebody that goes
Yeah.
that'll go unmentioned, you definitely see him around quite a bit still. But that's good. We need everybody we can get in this fan base. So yeah, this is a special presentation today. Kind of an extra added bonus chalk talk. As with everything on this channel, it is brought to you by Narragansett Beer. If you're 21 plus, make sure you give Narragansett a follow on Instagram, on Twitter, and definitely check it out. Some great beer. You can get it all over the Ohio area. Definitely check out Narragansett. Grab a Narragansett for this weekend's tailgating festivities. So Jake and I today, we're going to take a look. We were kind of going back and forth and talking with each other a little bit about some of the things the Bengals were doing in the past game. And then it's like, well, let's take a look at this together. And then we're like, hey, you know what? Why don't we share it with everybody? So we are going to go ahead and share it with you guys as well. Looks like we've got.
There were so many pass plays, man. It was so hard to generalize because there are 70 dropbacks in this game and they're just behind. And in the fourth quarter, like Zach Taylor said, 41 of the passes came when they're down 2 touchdowns or in the 2-minute offense at the end of the second quarter. It's so hard to generalize. It was hard for me to generalize after with that being the scenario in the game script, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there were. I was hoping they were going to start throwing a little bit earlier. I kind of thought that's what they needed to do to win, and eventually to put them in position, they had to go to it. But Burrow second most passes thrown by a rookie quarterback in a single game, and most completions. Some concerns in there a little bit though. They've only completed one pass in the season over 20 yards. It's the Uzomah touchdown that we will be looking at on this video. And related to that, the yards per completion is pretty low. Yards per attempt, yards per completion, pretty low. Burrow having to complete 37 passes to put up the yardage he did. Some things to think about. That's actually something in this week's film room over on Cincy Jungle. I'll be talking about some of the ways that you can hit this Eagles defense deep based on some of the film that we've seen of them already and some of the things that the Redskins and the Rams try to do to them. Oddly enough, we are so far gone from Zach Taylor's original offense that I found more things that resembled the Bengals looking at the Redskins than I did looking at the Rams against the Eagles. We good to go with audio on Twitch?
Yeah, we're good. I actually talked about this on the Locked On Bengals podcast today, and we looked at a couple things. One, I looked at play action. The Bengals, Joe Burrow, 4th least play action in the NFL so far, according to PFF. And the other thing, well, okay, so by comparison, the other thing we'll get to in a second. The comparison is Jared Goff, who leads the NFL in play action passes. So you got 4th fewest in Cincinnati now, 1 year removed from Zach Taylor in LA, right? And instead, you got LA who's leading the league. I think nearly 50% of Jared Goff's passes are play action passes right now. It's not quite 50. I think it's like 48, 49%. It's nuts.
Crazy. Yeah, just watching that game against the Eagles, I'm looking for plays that'll fit in conceptually with what the Bengals are doing, and it was nonstop with the boots. I don't remember them booting that much. It was like watching a Kubiak game.
The Rams did?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's non-existent in the Bengals offense. You mentioned Washington football team as resembling the Bengals offense. Do you follow Eric Eager on Twitter, PFF Eric?
Yeah.
Data scientist. he's doing this thing this year where he's comparing. I don't know what the components are that go into it, but he's comparing offensive and defensive schemes and seeing where the clusters are. So, for example, Baltimore, very unique offense in the NFL, right? They're all the way out on their own. Nobody's near them. The Bengals, closest clusters, and I'd be really curious to hear, because I know you still watch some Dallas tape from time to time.
Yep.
Yeah, so the Bengals are grouped into cluster kind of with the Colts and the Cowboys, and those are the closest teams. Maybe the Bills are pretty close too. Those are the four closest teams to the Bengals. And I think that some of the trends are pre-snap motion, play action frequency, and empty protections. Those are the staples of the Bengals offense this year.
Yeah, definitely getting into a different realm of what they're doing with all the empty and hoping they really build on it, because definitely Burrow's very comfortable in that area. So let's get right into it. We've got over 100 people watching us on Facebook, YouTube right now, and I know there's a bunch of you tuning in right now on Twitch as well. So we're going to talk about a few plays here, and the first one is the 4th down on the first drive. So we'll take a look here, and then we'll talk about it.
This is a pick play. This is a 4th down, the first 4th down the Bengals go for first quarter here. And watch Joe Burrow. So watch right here. He signals out to his receivers on the left side. And then watch A.J. Green and Tyler Boyd's route here. Oh, I'm behind. I'm looking at my wrong screen here.
Okay, good. See? All right. Are we in sync now? I just restarted it.
Yeah, I'm good. So here, okay. Joe Burrow, he signals out to the wide receivers over there. Then watch Boyd and Green. And honestly, Green kind of gets away with a little OPI there, maybe, that they could have called if they really wanted to. But it's just really good identification from Joe Burrow pre-snap to find these easy free yards on a play they had to have early in the game.
Yeah, it's a great job. I mean, and what is he seeing here? He's seeing these guys are impressed man. They got one deep field safety, and obviously from the alignment out here, there's some confusion with the third guy and everything when they moved, but there's only 2 guys here, and in man he knows this guy's got to follow him inside. So if he can block him, if he can shield him off there, it's going to come open. And we were talking before, we're not going to get to it on here, but the touchdown to Mike Thomas, it was the same play, but it was not the opposite play. This time it was the 3 receiver side. Thomas was the widest receiver, and he ran the slant coming in. And actually, John Ross did a great job just getting his shoulder in the way of that defensive back and really opening that up for him. Not so subtle plug, but that'll be talked about in one of my film rooms this week as well.
And you talk about John. Can we go back to that play one more time?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I know we've moved on here. There's one other thing I wanted to ask you about here that I just noticed that I didn't notice before. But look, so CJ goes in motion. They go over there. They're showing press man. Can you pause it here? So what's interesting to me is in previous weeks, I wonder the linebacker that stays middle of field with Joe Burrow there. I guess there's nowhere else for him to really go.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think that, would they play this a little differently? Would he be a little bit deeper maybe if they didn't show that QB draw in week 1? Because the Browns were ready for it. They ran the QB draw in the red zone sometime in this game, maybe even later on this drive. I don't remember. But do you think that he's not even looking at Joe Burrow really? He's looking, but it looks like he's dropping into a little bit of a zone there.
Yeah, I think it's true cover 1, and we got the deep middle safety, and you got the the short middle linebacker, and I think he's just looking at his indicators, because Burrow looks to the left right away, and the backer starts to work in that direction.
Yeah.
So I think he's trying to get underneath any kind of slant coming in there. But that's a good point, and I think another film room I've got coming out is talking about picking up twists, but the twist and the stunning on the defensive line.
I didn't even see
would
that.
have made it really difficult, even without the linebacker, to be able to run, to run a QB draw when those guys are moving around like that. That stuff can be pretty difficult.
Yeah. Man, are the Bengals struggling with that, though? It's been rough.
Yeah, they really do. And last year, it seemed like it was – last year, that seemed like they really struggled in the run game picking those up. This year, they really are struggling in pass protection to pick that stuff up. But, there were some good reps and some bad reps. Obviously, the one that we think of, the bad one, is the strip sack. As we look here, this is 3rd and 5 down by the goal line. So Burrow gets pressured, right? And really, this pressure is coming from everywhere. I think really Michael Jordan and Trey are doing all right with a guy that's not coming that hard, and everybody else is really just swarming all over him. So can he get rid of this ball is the question. What do you think?
Well, so this is what the reason I wanted to look at this play. If you can pause it kind of at the top of his drop, maybe after one hitch. Let's look at where the wide receivers are and look at where they're going. So they mix it, they motion mixing out, and Burrow's looking right here. So Burrow's looking, is he looking for this AJ Green corner route? Like, where is he supposed to go with the ball here? And what I wanted to look at here is this looks like, and it might not be, but it looks like cover 4. It looks like quarters in the back, right? It looks like we have some like 3 hook curl zones underneath it. Maybe it's kind of hard to tell, and you can probably tell better than I can. But like, should AJ be carrying? Should he be going up the seam here, given the coverage? Should he be running? Should he be breaking off the corner route? I don't see, like, is he looking at CJ there, like running this 10-yard, like, lazy little comeback? Like, I don't know where he's supposed to go with the ball here, even if the pressure does hold up, or the protection does hold up.
So, I think the first time I posted this on Twitter, I posted a little video clip actually of the tight film from this, and people were saying he's got to throw the ball. And right away he can go to Higgins very quickly
on a 3rd and 5. Keep in mind, 3rd and 5.
Yes, I was going to say Higgins isn't getting the first down. He can go to Joe Mixon pretty much at any time. Mixon's maybe a 50-50 chance to make the first down. That's probably being optimistic on my part, because the first down marker is on the 4-yard line. It's right up there.
I guess the one thing if Burrow does have time to come off his first read on the left side of the field is 85 and 28 for the Bengals are putting that player in conflict, right? Tyler Boyd's running at the corner behind him, and so you might get something there with Higgins and Mixon. But he plays it pretty well, frankly. So even if Burrow comes off it, you have to make a guy miss. So maybe you go to Mixon, you let Higgins try to make a block out there, but.
And then this guy's going to be one-on-one in the open field with this guy, which for what their linebackers look like, I'd say advantage Joe Mixon in that situation, but still it's pretty dicey.
The throw would be pretty late at this point too.
Yeah. Now, and I'm going to talk about this in a minute. Like 2 plays from now, we're going to see the same formation and the same motion. So Mixon really creates a quads formation here. He motions to the bunch. So, what's the point of that when you're looking at what is his read supposed to be? What are they trying to do? The point of that is absolutely to get this guy out of there. I don't know why else you put Mixon in motion that direction. So, getting some width with him, I'm a little surprised. This wasn't something where, it's a whip it or something where he's coming back in. Yeah. Because you're getting Mixon out there, you're gaining width with it. Yeah, this guy's in a little conflict, but I don't know. I thought I was trying to open up a gap here, but you're not really influencing the Mike backer at all. Back to your point, looking at it, Burrow's looking to the left right away and doesn't really have an immediate out. But now this safety turns. So if he has time and that safety in the top turns,
that's the
throw.
Goes to the post.
Yeah, I mean that's the throw all days, and that's why you, in my mind, that's why you look to the left, is to get that safety to go to the left. By the way, I'm sitting here saying this safety and everything. Can you probably can you see my cursor?
I can, yeah, I can.
Okay. I'm sharing a tab on my screen, so I was like,
Yeah, it's
So
on,
I
it's
mean
on,
that.
it's on the broadcast too. I just checked.
Okay, awesome, thanks. So I mean that should be the throw. But he doesn't have time to make it. Obviously this guy's sitting here, but you can zip that in. You can do that.
So
But
so can we? So let's look at this. Let's look at the minute the safety flips his hips. Let's see what's going on.
okay.
Because Burrow's not even there yet. I understand he's trying to move him with his eyes at that point, right? But so let's see where the pressure is. It's probably on him. So right there.
I mean, Jonah's guy's almost past him.
Yeah. So the issue is Fred Johnson. Hey, like if Fred Johnson like can anchor just a little bit sooner, Burrow can probably step up right there. And maybe the throw's late anyway, but if that's blocked well at the right guard, and we'll see this in the tight. It seems like, yeah, like right where he wants to step up and come off it. At that point, it might be too late anyway, but it's real close to if Fred Johnson holds up here.
It's just collapsing around him from everywhere.
And it's not just Fred, I guess, because Myles Garrett gets in there too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's Jonah, it's Fred, it's Bobby,
and then you get a cleanup sack. I mean, Jonah, is giving up a little bit more ground than you want him to there, but I don't think you can complain.
Yeah, I mean, on the Jonah Williams scale, this is a bad rep. You know what I mean?
Well,
Bobby Hart gives that up. Takes an edge like that. I'm like, okay, all right, Bobby.
Yeah.
But I'm holding him to a level though. Just like when I tweeted, hey, Bobby Hart was pretty good this game. I didn't mean in terms of the world. I meant in terms of Bobby Hart.
Where is this volume coming from? 1 second, man.
Just like when I tweeted.
Oh man, sorry about that.
We got a little Call of Duty coming in over Twitch there, or what?
No, that's your voice coming back.
That's me.
One of my tabs got unmuted. All right, what's our next play here?
All right, so this is the touchdown to Uzomah. This is the longest pass play of the game, and
of Joe Burrow's career.
Yes, of Joe Burrow's career. So we'll take a look here.
Such a great play.
Awesome play. And there's a couple things that I really like, and I'm going to go to the tight film right now to show you something. Look at this box. Okay, when we talk about personnel, and I've had a lot of people talking to me, asking me about moving Auden Tate to tight end. It's that time of year again with the Uzomah injury. Should we move Auden Tate to tight end? But you know what Auden Tate doesn't do? He doesn't put 3 linebackers and 4 defensive linemen on the field. And that's what you have here. They just ran 4 verticals out of 13 personnel.
Yeah.
All right. Tight end. Tight end and wing over here. Tight end. Boyd is the only receiver on the field. And then they motion out Mixon really just to get that corner out of the box and give him something to think about, to give him some pause. And great ball.
He does pause.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, that's the play there. Like if they just leave Mixon in the backfield and he's just comes out and he's a check down guy, he's a check release guy, that guy's running with him all day.
Yeah, he has to. He kind of watches Mixon until he runs a slant, and then Uzo's by him. I still think this is cover 6, but maybe it's not. It's really hard to tell what's going on in the back end. But why I like this play, there's a couple things to talk about here. One is they probably don't have this personnel package anymore.
Mm-hmm.
With Uzomah hurt. I don't think that you want to run this play with Sample, Carter, and Shrek. So that's a bummer. But the other thing is the Bengals went 13, meaning 3 tight ends, 1 running back, quite a few times in this game. It was like a featured package for them, and this is the best, by far the best play they had out of it. But I thought this was really nice play calling to go 4 verts out of this package, out of this personnel with the mismatches it created, and it's a perfect throw. You even have adequate protection, let's say. But I was talking to Anthony Tresh from PFF on the Locked On Bengals podcast earlier today, and he mentioned to me something I didn't really know. On all of Joe Burrow, he's thrown 12 deep balls this year, or maybe, 12, I think. And
Yep.
I think he said 8 or 9 of them have come out 2.5 seconds or sooner after the snap. They're coming out right away. There's no double moves. There's no long developing stuff. And when the Bengals have run double moves, the offensive line isn't holding up. So there's a few things to like here. Timing, the scheme. Matt, what else are you looking at here? Anything I'm missing?
I think part of the timing and scheme and them not getting serious pass rush is that you're coming out in 13 personnel on first down,
and then you go empty out of it.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, but still, even though it's empty, like these guys were already in run mode. You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
And you can see they're going to adjust their stances a little bit, but they weren't coming out right away thinking they were going to be teeing off on the quarterback.
That's kind of what I was trying to get at. You said it better than me. It's confusing. It's causing the defense to have to think about some stuff here.
Now,
like, they're going heavy. Now they're empty. What the hell?
Yes.
What the hell do I do?
Yeah, exactly. And you've got to put pressure on the defense. And like you can do it with speed, you can do it with personnel and formations. And this is a great way of doing it with both of your personnel and your formations. One thing that I find a little bit concerning, just watch Sample on this rep. So he's running up the seam. That backer just really doesn't have any problem matching up with him. And that, that bugs me for the guy that's now going to be the principal tight end. Hoping to see more speed out of him, but it definitely seems like there's a drop off with Uzomah.
Let's talk about Sample a little bit, because he was fine underneath, but I thought he looked slow. You just mentioned that the linebackers, he's kind of jogging and saying, his Sample is not stacking him. And what are reasonable expectations for this guy, given that I think speed is a limitation for him. I think that he can be a fine safety net checkdown guy, but I think they lose something with Uzomah here.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely doesn't look as dynamic as what you're getting with CJ. And look, you don't need the tight end to be a huge weapon for you with the other perceived weapons that this offense has, but it's nice to be able to do stuff like this, and like you were saying, I don't know if you could do that. I mean, geez, if you were doing this, maybe Shrek's the guy. I think Shrek might be the best athlete in that group now.
Yeah. Although, like, Ethan Carter, for what he is actually an okay athlete.
I mean, we'll see. We're going to get a better chance to see him on offense. Now we're dealing mostly with seeing him run down on kickoffs and stuff in the past. So, so the next one I want to take a look at here kind of ties in the last two plays. We're going to see a fade to AJ in the bottom down here. And once again, it's that bunch formation, and they're going to start mixing off away from the bunch and motion them out. So we'll just take a look here, and we'll come back and talk about it a little bit. So a couple of things. They are on a one high look. So a lot of passing concepts will say one high, look at the outside, because you're getting matchups in the outside. And I think this team really wants to get the ball to AJ. They want to match him up, and they want to let him make plays. And that's the disappointing thing, is that AJ just hasn't been very AJ-like.
I mean, yeah, it's a fine release, and he just doesn't. I mean, the throw isn't great, but he just does not get on top of Denzel Ward.
Now, so this is a big concern with me is, where is the throw going? Does AJ know where the throw going?
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of the problems with the deep balls, we see it a lot with AJ because they're taking deep shots at AJ, but we see it with T. Higgins in this game as well. I don't think Burrow and his receivers are on the same page on where he wants to put these balls.
Especially on the vertical stuff. And we're going to see this,
yes.
Right? We have the back shoulder throw. Did we include that one? Maybe we didn't.
To AJ, no, the end zone, no.
But, I mean, you can kind of tell that. I don't think that's a very good throw either, even if it's meant to be a back shoulder throw. I think he puts it in a not a great spot. But certainly it seems like he and AJ aren't on the same page. Seems like he might be expecting AJ to sit down in some zones sometimes when he's running through them. And on the vertical stuff especially, it's been pretty apparent.
Yeah, so I mean, they really got to get that worked out and just figure out what they're doing. I noticed live that AJ seemed to be right up against the sideline a lot, and I was wondering if that was him, and I don't think it is. I think Burrow's kind of leading him there. Like, this is fine where he's at here, and just like, so what I'm trying to get at here is, as a defensive back, you want to get on him right now. Like, you want to get right on his hip, and you want to hug that sideline. This is plenty of room for a receiver to make a play on the sideline. You want to get probably about halfway from that NFL logo to the sideline. That's where you want him, because that's a really thin window for that quarterback to try and put the ball in. And, AJ's doing fine with it. He's given himself room. There's room for the quarterback to lead him, to throw him open there a little bit. And it's just not happening as it hasn't really been happening.
But look at how fast the ball has to come out with Bobby Hart getting pushed back into his lap as the ball comes out. You got Myles Garrett wide out there and just bull rush straight into Joe Burrow's back leg if he holds that ball. It's a sack.
Yeah. Absolutely a concern. And that's what they are getting the balls off fast. And is Burrow not as comfortable with that on the deep balls as he is on the shorter? Who knows what we're looking at, what it is. But a couple other things I'll point out on this. So, again, Mixon goes up top. I don't understand why they wouldn't send him the other way if you want to go to AJ with the ball. Because right now, Ward's got him. I believe that's Ward. And it's a linebacker underneath. So, look, that guy's not really taking away the comeback right now, but he could be. It's a guy that's there. They are bringing, I think that's Higgins across from the outside. But if Mixon runs a swinger out here, that's going to hold that linebacker a little bit better and just, create more of a true one-on-one there.
Do you think that he's ever looking anywhere except AJ Green? He checks the safety, verifies that it's sideline open, middle of field closed, and then he throws a deep ball, right? Like, he's never really looking at T. Higgins, is he?
No, it's AJ all the way. I mean, yeah. So if you look at what's going on, a lot of times with these level kind of concepts here, you get T dragging across the field. Let me take it back. You get T dragging across the field, and I think that might be Sample or Uzomah. It's a tight end, I believe, running the dig. So I don't know what they're being taught there, but a general rule of thumb, the way a lot of people run these sort of concepts is, if it's a too high look, you're working a high low inside, and when you get that one high look, you're taking the outside routes. Regardless of what they are. A lot of times they're fades, but if it's a speed out, if it's a post route, if it's a charge or a post corner, like whatever it is, because you've got this isolated. The other thing, you see that the one high safety, but then you see the safety also goes away. And as I'm saying that, and great question on from you, because is that the point of Mixon? Is the quads making the safety go that direction because they're trying to create that one-on-one matchup? And now I'm thinking that's probably why they're doing it. Just getting the safety completely out of there.
Yeah. Where does the ball land? It lands like AJ has no play on the ball at the end, right?
I don't believe so. Let's see if we can see it here.
I mean, it's just frustrating because, I mean, a better throw AJ actually does. I mean, it's a tough play, but he has a chance there.
Yeah.
And you can see the idea there. Put it close to the sideline. If AJ is, a little bit, I don't know. I would like to see AJ stack that though. He just does. Denzel Ward is just in his pocket all the way out.
Yeah, I mean, these are the concerning things. That is it. Hopefully, it's a communication thing that's going to get worked out. But I mean, I just feel like AJ's not doing these AJ type of things. There's a lot of plays we see and we're like, that wasn't a great ball. But then you think, well, AJ 2 years ago makes that play.
Mm-hmm. Somebody
all right, take a look here.
Sorry.
I was just saying this defense is a little different. So it is a zone read, so they're blocking or they're dropping off a defensive end here. Now you do have a levels concept here with the drag and the dig, but the dig's really coming from outside. So to me, the way I read this is this would be like a Dino route. He's coming in on the deep dig. He's running vertically. So to me, it's all about this guy. And once that guy turns and runs with the slot, I'm throwing to Boyd all day.
I got you.
But it's a little deeper. And right there, I don't know if he has time.
97? No, he's not worried about 97.
I think it's the nickel.
I'm just looking at is there anything there? There's no. Yeah, I mean, it's really a time. Like if they get that, where does the pressure come from? Jordan? No, just a free runner.
Fred didn't block anybody.
Jesus. I mean, Bobby's on his butt.
Yeah. Fred thinks he's picking up Bobby's guy.
I mean,
but I don't. I mean,
how does he think he has Trey Hopkins' help? Does he think it's Gio?
I don't know why Gio wouldn't have that blitzer.
Because Bobby Hart falls on his butt. Like Bobby just falls. He just trips.
Yeah, he does. Does he catch Uzomah's foot? He steps on Uzomah's foot.
Okay.
Which is absolutely no excuse, but
Gio's always looking there.
I think this looks like it should be the man side. Like he looks like but Fred doesn't play it like man. I don't know.
Gio's always looking at that gap. Yeah, that's interesting. I think that Johnson and Hart had significant communication issues all night, and if Fred blocks somebody, and I don't know where Gio's looking here, it makes me think that that's Fred's guy that comes free, because Gio's always looking between them.
Yes.
And if Fred steps in that gap, because Burrow is no, I don't know. Do you think he's looking at Boyd there? Do you think he's locked onto Ross at that point? Because the ball comes out.
I don't know. What scares me is I wonder if they're so worried about the protection and why we're seeing so many short balls is they're not, they're thinking more short. And I mean, so I'm reading that based on the way I would read these two routes. But if this guy's just running it off and they're just trying to play high-low with the drag and the dig, I mean, if that's what you're reading, it's the right read because the linebacker's out.
Down if John Ross looks for the ball.
What's that?
Yeah, I think it's a first down if John Ross actually looks for the football.
Yeah, and these are the things like they need to be hooking up with John Ross in these things. Like he doesn't need to take the top off the defense every play because John Ross catches that. That guy's not that athletic, it's definitely a first down.
You got a defensive end chasing him.
Exactly. All right, so we'll go a little bit later in this drive.
So I think you make a really good point there before we go to this play.
Yeah.
And I think that's that. I think that play. I mean, I think it does show us that the ball's coming out quicker than I think Burrow wants it to come out because he knows he's got a pretty good feel for the pocket for the most part. That play, Jonah Williams saved his life, notwithstanding, and yeah, I think that's really impacting him.
I mean, that's like that's something too. Like this is the invert player. We're gonna talk about this, like the invert player, the overhang player, whatever you want to call him, but like the nickel or the strong safety sometimes an outside linebacker. Like a lot in passing games is about reading that guy and seeing what that guy does, and yeah, just like when he turns and runs, Boyd's open.
Yeah.
So if you have time, look, the ball's already gone. Boyd hasn't made his cut. So there's no way he can make that throw to Boyd with his protection, but like that's where you want that thing to go.
And if it does get picked up, I almost guarantee that ball goes to Boyd.
Yeah. So
because he's looking right at the key you mentioned. He's looking right at that slot player. And the safety or the corner that was over there actually comes down on the Ross drag because he knows that there's a defensive end that would have to chase John Ross.
Yeah, it does look like that's where he's looking. So, I mean, like there you go. I mean, that's where the protection is getting you, and they're making it work with 5-man protections and with the line that they have, but that's where it's getting you. So we'll watch the bottom of the screen here. Take a look.
Which play is this one? Oh, yeah.
So this route combination, we're seeing a lot this year, and I haven't gotten around to doing my charting yet, but we get the tight end or an inside guy running a whip, sometimes a hitch, and then you get that post behind it. And to me, this is just a high-low. Like we're looking at this linebacker. He sits on that tight end, and that ball's got to go to this post.
He doesn't really sit though. Is this one of the? Yeah, this is one where I wasn't sure from the tight angle in particular if Joe Burrow feels like he's got that throw.
I don't know. I mean, he seemed pretty flat-footed. He kind of.
You have to put it right over his head. Ball's got to come out now.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I don't know. Maybe part of me thought maybe he wanted T. Higgins to actually sit, like right now.
Yeah, like I mean, he wanted it. You could see it.
Yeah, totally. He wants to throw that pass.
So what is there in that moment?
I'm going to teach you the Game Pass controls after we're done. Like he's watching it right there. Part of me, I don't know.
He choked up on it, and I guess that backer did kind of gallop back right about there.
Maybe. Do you think T. Higgins needs to break it off earlier? No, that doesn't make sense. Get more central? That doesn't make sense. He's got to be deep.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, I think he needs to be deeper, and this isn't a great example of it, but some of the other times I've seen this route going deeper, and it's bugged me that they're not running anything vertical on the other side to hold this guy.
Yeah. Like if he does throw this ball, is it a hospital ball? Like that safety across the field just comes over and lays T out?
Oh, I don't think so.
Over the linebacker? No?
Well, I mean, if he right now, I don't think he does. But if it gets to here, yeah.
That's where the throw has to go.
Yeah. I don't think it is though. So maybe you're right. Maybe T's
Maybe he's supposed to sit down out there, or maybe I don't know, because that's a weird
He's
place.
catching the ball right now, so if he's throwing it, maybe it's going there. It doesn't seem like it's timing up the way it should. And when we looking at the other ones definitely seem like they were getting in there a little bit deeper.
I think that's why I wanted to look at this play, because something to me, like, he wants that throw to Higgins. He wants this deep throw. He had a little bit of time, and it's just not there. And then you look elsewhere. I think he's making the right read. He's looking at the right spot, and it's just, I don't know. Maybe he needs to look. Maybe he needs to try to watch CJ, or maybe this is just bad play call into the right defense.
T got a pretty easy release here too. I was wondering, maybe he got caught up or something. I don't know.
That's why I wanted to watch this one with you, because it stood out as peculiar.
Yeah, like something's just not quite right about it. I'm with you on that. But we're gonna see it. We're gonna get a lot of chances at it, because there's something they like about this concept, because they've run it, I think, probably 4 or 5 times this year. You want me to pull up that AJ one as long as we're here?
Is this the yeah? And then we got the Higgins play.
Yeah, not on our script, but
okay. I'm just looking at what we have.
AJ up here.
Well covered, says somebody in my chat. I mean, yeah, it was, but I mean, if execution goes both ways, right? So there's a couple things about this play. One of them is the timing, like, or the chemistry, the wide receiver quarterback chemistry. And I just think this is a bad throw, actually. But also, Terrence Mitchell is just so unafraid of AJ Green. He should be so afraid of AJ Green.
Mm-hmm. Everybody forgot. It's been 2 years. Who was Terrence Mitchell 2 years ago?
Who is he now?
Oh, well, that's a good point. But I don't even think he was in the league 2 years ago, was he?
I actually don't remember. I thought he had done.
So, I mean, a couple things you're looking at here. So, look, the traditional way of looking at these balls is, can I beat this guy? And the receiver and the quarterback have to simultaneously decide, can he beat this guy? So he's playing way over the top of him. So, I mean, that kind of tells you throw it behind him. But prior to the national championship, I heard, I lost his name. The old Ohio State guy who took the job at Boston College, Hatley. So he was talking about, he said their read was, does the DB turn his back? So even if you have him beat, apparently this is what they're doing at LSU. I haven't been able to confirm it, and all the receivers guys that I know think it's crazy, but that doesn't mean it's not true. So if he turns his back like he has now, even if you have a step on him, and again, ball's gone, that's when you would throw the back shoulder. With the idea being he's turned his back so the receiver can adjust and can make a play on it quicker, and the receivers practice that stuff more, all that type of stuff. I mean, he does a good job, like, staying on top of this thing, keeping his eyes back to Burrow.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing the vertical all the way, and it is a vertical. Like, he hasn't played right for sure. But is this really where the throw is supposed to go? Maybe. But AJ just, like, again, this is that connection we were talking about earlier. Is he like, he doesn't find it and start coming back to it until real late.
Yeah, and it's like either this this isn't where the throw is supposed to go, or AJ just can't do AJ stuff anymore. You know what I mean? And I don't know, but yeah, this connection is broken, because I don't know how many of the 12 deep passes they've attempted have been throws like this to AJ, but it's a lot of them, and they haven't connected on any of them.
There's a chance for it to get right for sure, and I think it's probably a bit of an adaptation for AJ Green. Rust, whatever, new quarterback, new offense, maybe a little bit, but just something to keep an eye on, I think. I mean, good play for Terrence Mitchell, too. I think you do have to credit him there.
Yeah, it was definitely well played. But yeah, just an example again, something that we're seeing quite a bit. Come on now, catch up with me. So we're going to the fourth quarter now. All right, I said we're going to talk about invert players, and I don't know how much we're going to see this against the Eagles, but the Browns did this a lot where they'd be in a too high look and they'd rock one of these guys down. Now, sometimes you hear about throwing away from rotation, but they weren't really rotating safeties. They were just putting him down. So we'll take a look here. One safety comes down, the other one stays put. I mean, maybe he shuffled a little bit, but it's not like he was flying into the middle of the field there. And this is an absurd, stupid catch from from Drew Sample here in the flat. But like, to me, that safety's down. He's flat-footed. Like, the ball's going to come out pretty soon here. But all right, so now he's reacting to the ball. But he was sitting there, like, I think you want to look at this for a second longer or pump it or something. And I think you want to go over his head to tee on this post.
Do you think that there's anything to, like, he sees a one safety rock down a little bit, the other safety kind of goes to middle of the field, and he's thinking, okay, this is cover 3 back there, middle of the field close. I'm just going to check it down. On top of that, like, he thinks, I can't come off. I have to go with my first read. I don't have time, even though he does have time on this play.
I mean, that's a good point. And if hey, this is cover 3, the flat's their throw. That's the right throw. But
I was looking
specifically to the Browns and the way they were playing it, that middle of the field guy was never there. And this is the fourth quarter, and pitcher should have been telling them this on the sideline. That's how they're playing this. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, the ball comes out immediately too.
Sure.
Let's see where Burrow's looking on the tight, because I think he you get the play action. He is looking middle of the field, so he's not looking at Sample right away. So he's watching the linebacker maybe a little bit. Maybe he's looking at the Erickson route, and since the linebacker is there, he doesn't want to throw it there. I don't know.
So that's just kind of bugged me. Again, I feel like they're taking the shallow throws when they can take medium throws. And that's the last one we have on our list. A couple plays later.
That's the theme that I wanted to look at too. Is that the ball's coming out short so often. This one, watch Mike Thomas at the top. This is one that I sent Matt when I first rewatched the game, and I thought Mike Thomas just wins on a post route against Denzel Ward, by the way. And I Burrow has to move off his spot a little bit, but I feel like this is there.
And this is the same thing. Like, the safety works up and he hops. He doesn't go right back. So it's the same. And like, he's basically in the middle of the field, but he's not threatening Mike Thomas at all. Plus, you've got this dig route. What's the dig doing? It's bringing in both safeties and the linebacker. They got 3 guys in that thing. Mike Thomas.
You think Terrence Mitchell on the other side can get into that play? Because he still has his eyes in the backfield a little bit here.
I don't think so. Like,
it's a skinny post. You throw it to the actual goal post. I don't think so either.
Yeah. If you throw it, if you throw a hard post. Now, I was gonna say, like, a lot of the terminology that I'm throwing out is pretty generic, but yeah, these posts that we've been talking about have been real skinny. I mean, yeah, that's got to be the throw.
And I wonder if this is an indication. And I noticed once against the Chargers in Week 1, where he actually you saw him pulling Andy Dalton in the pocket. His stance widened before it had to, and his eyes dropped a little bit. But here he's got his eyes downfield. And take that shot.
Oof. Yeah, he just escaped to the absolute wrong side there.
Yeah, and then on this
I mean,
side,
I even think he could have hit Ross down here. That wouldn't have been the first place I'd go with it, but
and he has time, and I think he kind of bails a clean pocket here a little bit. I didn't
I
mean
do
for it
too.
to be like a question Joe Burrow show or anything. I know that's kind of how it's gone. But, the one big question I've had after these 2 weeks is why is so much going short? Why are we averaging, 5 yards per attempt against the Browns secondary that has Denzel Ward and nobody? And I think we're getting a couple of different answers here.
Yeah, it's definitely concerning because you see these reads, and we talked about some of the linebackers you should be looking at and the other things, and I don't know. Sometimes I don't know where he's looking, and I get that the ball has to come out fast, but I mean, there's definitely some concern there with those things. I have, to your point, seen him leave a few clean pockets. I don't think he's staring at the rush. That's when they're cooked, is when they start really looking at the rush. I don't think it's anything like that, but I don't think he's. What was the Sam Darnold line with the Patriots last year? Like, I was seeing ghosts out there or something.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he's
that as a quarterback.
Yeah, and that's that can mess you up real quick as a quarterback. I don't think it's anything like that, but somehow he's got to get deeper into these progressions, and he's got to be reading high to low, not low to high, and it seems like he's doing the opposite right now.
And he has time. I mean, second game of his career, right? Short week. There's some pretty interesting comments here from Brian Hackman on Facebook, by the way. Never throw a post into cover 3, especially when the post is coming from the side of the field where the first read is coming. I think that's talking a few plays ago. And then he agrees that the skinny post is open anyway. The thing about Joe that I think we need to be patient with is the deep accuracy was great at LSU. I think he's mostly making good decisions. And I know the plays we highlighted today, we're thinking, he can probably throw that deep ball, but there's time for that. His first couple games against really good pass rushes and pretty inclement situations, no offseason, you always got to remember, more good than bad. But if the offensive line doesn't get a little bit better, if they can't start taking some of these double moves, if the receivers can't get separation, long term, and they didn't on Sunday against a bad secondary, then there's more problems than just the offensive line for the Bengals to get this thing right around Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I think the receiver core that was bad last year when AJ and John Ross were out, and really, like, there was Boyd, but Boyd wasn't doing anything dynamic enough to really create other opportunities. Like, it's still the same sort of situation. And right now, as you pointed out, they're not afraid of AJ Green, and they're not afraid of John Ross right now either. So, like, they need to complete a couple of deep balls. AJ Green needs to go up in the air and do something AJ Green like, and John Ross needs to torch somebody for 50, like, just to, like, make him play it honest and make him think about it, because that's going to take a lot of pressure off all these other guys. I do think Higgins has shown some flashes. I think Mike Thomas looks really good.
Yeah.
And I think he is a little bit faster than some of the other guys. I don't think he's not Ross, but I see why he's moving up the depth chart, definitely.
I think he's one of their more consistent, dynamic players at wide receiver right now, given the athleticism outside of him in that room.
And there's no coincidence that he's got a connection with Burrow that's pretty good. Boyd's got a connection with Burrow that's pretty good. The tight ends had a connection, and all those guys played all the way through camp. And I think T seems to be not quite there, but T missed a little bit of time. T had a hammy or something. AJ and some of these guys that didn't play, they don't have that with AJ and with Ross. And like, you need that guy. Like, somebody needs to be that guy. Like, Tom Brady doesn't need that guy. Joe Burrow needs that guy right now.
Well, and Tom Brady has always had that guy, really, in some capacity. I mean, maybe not last year, but the way they work Julian Edelman, the way they use James White in New England, now down in Tampa, they definitely got that guy. They got 3 of those guys down there. So the wide receivers supposed to be a strength, right? And we'll see how the season goes. I think the training camp thing is an issue. I think that sometimes they're running right into the teeth of zones that, they're getting out coached at times. But largely, I think the scheme is pretty solid. I think I want to see, again, talking to Anthony earlier today, being 4th least play action in the NFL. I get that the situations didn't call for play action against the Browns very often, but that's got to go on. And they need to get more of the read pass option into the world. And if the receivers, honestly, the receivers are going to separate like this, just find more ways to throw the ball to Joe Mixon. And one thing that I think we could look at in the future, Matt, is the way that this screen game is designed for the Bengals, for me, leaves a lot to be desired. And maybe it's the personnel they have on the offensive line, but they look rough.
Yeah, going back and kind of looking at the play calling overall, obviously there were some things in the goal line with the kind of some of the execution down there, some of the calls that were a little shaky, but I feel like this year they're doing a better job of creating some opportunities. I feel like guys aren't always getting open. However, there's some things to like in the passing game. I feel like it doesn't mesh up with everything else. That, number one, have they run a screen successfully all year? And they've tried a bunch of screens. They're not good at running screens. No. And the run game hasn't been good. I like the run game under center a lot better than I like it out of shotgun. But their passing game's out of shotgun.
Yeah.
And I do not like this run game out of shotgun. That trap plays are right, but then they run the power O, and that looks awful. They're not running zone reads very well.
No.
Yeah.
They got to figure some stuff out. They had a few extra days, so hopefully that gives them something. But man, you look at another bad defensive line matchup: Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, Brandon Graham, Sweat. What's his name? Josh Sweat. Sweat's whichever Sweat is on the Eagles.
Oh, yeah.
Had a great week 1. And it's just, Fletcher Cox in particular against whoever the hell the Bengals play at right guard is going to be scary.
Yeah, definitely. And we haven't had the benefit of a run game to have something, to be variable with that a little bit, to wear them down a little bit. And, that definitely hasn't come to fruition. So they cannot afford, like last year, we talked about the big deal was made out of the change they made halfway through the year. I did a piece looking at all the ways they ran toss and how they ran toss like six times more in the second half of the year as the first half of the year. And look, like, that was great, but you can't wait till you're on an 8-hour plane ride coming back from London and you've got a week to put stuff in. These changes have to happen now. So, they got to figure out how to marry up the run game. I don't know if that's a term or not, but how to marry it to what they're doing offensively in the pass game as well. Watching the Rams, I would like to see. I like to see some jet sweeps, some reverse type stuff. I'd like to see them use guys like Thomas and Ross in that way. Get them the ball. The other thing is, when you do that, if you've got outside zone action going to the right and you're sending Ross in motion to the left, it affects the back half of the defense. It affects those linebackers. It's gonna help you set up some of those blocks even when you're given the ball. to the running back there. So, they got to figure it out with the pass game, or with the run game, and make it make sense to the pass game, because I think that's a big part of the issue they have right now, is that it doesn't add up. It's not a coherent offense. It's like they got two guys calling the plays, but not in a good way like the Eagles.
I mean, where's the strength of the Eagles? Obviously, defensive line, and it's just the same thing again. They got a college free agent as their best linebacker, TJ Edwards, who he's pretty good. They went out and got Darius Slay, but again, you look at this matchup and you're like, well, if they can protect a little bit, and the ball doesn't have to come out on his back foot on 3-step drops, maybe we can, you expect that these skill guys can get open. And what I said before the Browns game was, if they can't get open against the Browns, I'm gonna have some concerns. And so now I have some concerns.
Yeah. And I mean, look, the offensive line, they struggled, and I get it. And I get that they really need to invest in that position. The way Bobby Hart played on Thursday, like, he wasn't losing you that game. You know what I mean? Like, if Bobby Hart, like, that was balls to the wall Bobby Hart. You know what I mean? Like, that's about as much as you could hope for out of him. And I think if Bobby Hart can play that way, Michael Jordan can get back to what he was doing week 1, hopefully develop, a little bit more. Trey can get back to what he was last year, because I haven't really liked him in either one of these games. And then they can figure something out at right guard, whether it's, Fred Johnson sitting his butt down, or getting Billy Price back in there or something.
Or your boy Hakeem.
Maybe it is Hakeem. It's so hard without preseason, because he was a guy all along I've thought that he could use an off season like Jonah Hart's. Geez, that's an awful slip. Like Jonah Williams, like I feel like he could use more in his body. So, and he had trouble with the bull rush a little bit in college. I would say that was his anchor, is one of his, probably one of his weakest points. So I think building a little ball could be good for him. And I don't know how much improvement you're getting at the guard spot, but it's one of those things. Like people have asked me that several times this week. At what point do you put in Adeniji? And I don't know, because I don't know where Adeniji is at, because we didn't get any preseason games. I haven't seen him against even NFL backups. We're looking at Big 12 defensive film. So who knows? But they kept him around for a reason. He's a 6th-round pick that they didn't want to put on the practice squad. And I was going to say, they cut Redmond the first time around, and we know they like Redmond. So, but I mean, it might be Redmond this week. Like who knows where it's going to be at? But I think Su'a-Filo graded out pretty well. I didn't think Su'a-Filo was great in that first game. I think Billy Price's best position is right guard. I thought he was really good at right guard in that Dolphins game. He was not very good when he went in week 1, though. A lot of people keep telling me in my comments that he was. No, he wasn't. Sorry. And man up without love for them to get something out of him. And I would love to see him have success, but that wasn't it week 1. Heal his ankle, maybe he's better. I don't know, but
a lot of.
I guess what I'm saying is I feel like they can piece this together, but it's just like everybody has to be playing their absolute best. Like they just there was zero room for error here.
Well, get another chance, and then they get Jacksonville, and maybe the offensive line finally comes together against Jacksonville if it doesn't this week.
We will see. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think people know I tend to be fairly optimistic in the offseason, but I thought coming into the year that the Eagles game was the only one of the first 4 where it was like we're not going to win that one. The other ones, it was like, all right, well, they got a shot against all these teams. Schedule didn't get even easier. If you split it into quarters, like the second quarter and the fourth quarter are rough. And we haven't even seen the Steelers once, and they get them in the middle of the third quarter there too. So it's not getting any easier. They gotta grow up fast. They gotta learn this stuff, and that was the thing that there's been some very positive things about this coaching staff in the offseason that I've liked, and how they've been innovative in some of the things they've done. It drove me crazy last year how they did not change faster. Like you got to go. And I mean, that's the great thing about football. What I love about coaching was it was like you got 7 days and like, everything has to be done, and you got a clean desk at the end of the week. But like they weren't doing it at that fast rate, so they got to figure it out. They got to figure out this O line. They got to figure out this run game. They got to figure out how to stop the run. With or without Geno, because he can't be that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And he is a big deal, but he can't be the only deal.
Right.
Just like Burrow can't be the only. Like you gotta have more answers. You gotta build more depth around things. I do think that those two guys out made a big difference against Cleveland, because look, the game went. We pretty much knew the game was going to go that way. We said they were going to score a ton of points. We said they were going to win it throwing the ball, but like that drive where Chubb and Hunt took him down the field in like 6 plays or whatever, like they were toast. Like they were just done. And I think people like me like to talk about wearing teams out with the run game, and how you do better in the fourth quarter, and then people will come in and tell you, and people will come in and tell you that doesn't add up. And here's why it works, and here's why it doesn't work. It works if you have 4 good defensive linemen. It does not work if you have 8. That's what it is. And that's what, like, you look at the Eagles when they built that really good defense and went to the Super Bowl. They were loaded on the defensive line, and then they were making more moves bringing in defensive linemen. Like if you can platoon those guys, and this guy's backup is just as good as he is, you can't wear those guys down. Like if there's just another group behind him. So I think that is a factor, because there's no depth now. It's not just losing Geno. It's how many more reps were these guys? Covington and Bledsoe should be taking hardly any reps.
DJ Reader played 98% of their snaps or something. Insane. Absolutely insane for a defensive tackle.
Yes, for a nose tackle, too. I mean, geez.
Well, he's not really playing nose.
Yeah. I just mean bulk-wise,
yeah,
for somebody that has to carry that type of weight around with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez. He was playing tough, by the way, too. Like he was doing some pretty good things, but it doesn't matter when it's one guy doing it.
Yeah, I mean, the linebackers need to get better. Jesse Bates coming down as an alley player needs to actually make some of those tackles. And I mean, the issue with the Browns game was that they were down and the Browns got to run the ball. They have a good offensive line now, guys. I mean, we made fun of the Browns forever. Jedrick Wills looks good. Chris Hubbard played pretty well, but Jack Conklin's better. Wyatt Teller's been one of the best right guards in the game. So, they have some pretty good pieces on that offensive line, and they were able to scheme some great plays for Baker. They didn't ask him to do a whole lot. They got him on the move. They really sold the play action boots, and there's a pretty bad clip of Bobby Hart not really doing anything when the Bengals went on the Joe Burrow sack, the failed spin move. They kind of run a little bit of a boot, and Bobby Hart, doesn't give it much. I kind of wonder if they're not getting the plays called sometimes. There's a screen. I think the most successful screen the Bengals have run this year, week 1, was a tight end screen to Sample, and Xavier Su'a-Filo runs left, and the play goes right. After he releases, he does his little fake pass block. He goes left to no one, and then he kind of turns around like, oh. And so I wonder how many times this has happened where, like, they're not getting, Taylor mentioned communication at halftime in week 1. How much is these guys not getting the plays right in their head? you can't really see that very easily. You can't fix it very easily, but it needs to get fixed. And for me, it was never about this season, but it is about the ability to build a team around Joe Burrow and show that you can put him and the team in good situations. And so far, I need to see more from a lot of these units.
Yeah, I mean, you want to see progress, just like Burrow. Like we pointed out some negative things we saw, but obviously we believe in the potential. And if we're doing this in November, hopefully we're like the goal is that we're not talking about the same things. We're talking about some higher level things, and that he's progressing every week. You look at rookies last year, like Pratt and like Michael Jordan, had some struggles early, but it wasn't about how good they were early. It was about where they're going and what are they going to get to. And I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. You want to get to that point, but I think we'd want to see Burrow be able to make it. He's already made it interesting, but we want to see Burrow be able to make them competitive even when they shouldn't be. And we want to see you want to see Burrow just do some ridiculous stuff and win a game. Because, I mean, let's face it. Like, I get that they scored at the end of the Browns game. It ended up being a one-score game. But I get that it, wasn't a one-score game with 2 minutes left. Right. But both these games, like, if he completes a 50-yard pass to John Ross, maybe you got a chance at the end. Maybe you beat the Chargers. So, like, they've got to be able to set him up to make those plays. Like, give him enough time to be able to make one of those plays to create, like on the Uzomah play, like do more things like that to create opportunities for a big play. And not just in the goal line, do it in the field. I do think overall their goal line play calling has been better than what last year. Last year they ran that little pass. It was kind of like the Philly special, except the quarterback threw the ball. It was like the little thing to mix it in the flat. They did that like twice, and that's about the only thing they ever did, like trying to score points down there. But their goal line, red zone, all that stuff's been better. And I kind of look at technically red zone's 20 in when you look at stats and stuff. I look at it from the 25, so I consider that Uzomah play to be that type of play. So, like, I've definitely seen some improvements with that, and the LSU stuff looks good. We are definitely seeing some of that carryover, but it's got to be more. And everything's got to be stepping up, got to be improving. They got to find answers, and they got to find ways to make everything mesh up. Because it isn't about this year with Joe Burrow, and it isn't about trying to win the Super Bowl this year, but we got to figure out if the other 70, 80 people in the building, including the staff, are the right people to be in the building.
Yeah.
So, show me. Well, Jake, sorry, go ahead.
I just said, let's see it, right? Show us.
So, Jake, you are frequently, and I don't want to make you sound like a jerk here, but you're frequently telling me that my videos are too long, and we're approaching the hour and 15 mark here, so we should probably cut it. But still got about 100 people with us on Facebook and YouTube, and I'm sure more over there on Twitch. So appreciate everybody checking it out. Jake and I would love to keep doing this, so we're gonna see if we can make it work with our schedules in the future. If you don't already, if you watch my stuff and you don't know Jake, check out Locked On Bengals. He's Jake_NFL on Twitter, right? So you definitely check that out. I'm Coach Minich, just like it is right there. I'm not the technology guy, if you hadn't noticed. So yeah, definitely give us a follow. There's lots of great Bengals content out there. Once again, the whole Orange and Black Insider channel brought to you by Narragansett Beer all season long. So 21, if you're 21 or over, grab a Gansett, watch some Bengals. watch some videos, listen to some podcasts. Let's have some fun. So appreciate your time, Jake. Like I said, had a blast. Hopefully we can do this again.
Absolutely. I need a tape watching buddy, and this is it.
Definitely.